This is Love Anthropology.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to Love Anthropology. This is our first edition of our podcast. I'm Gay Dirk, and I'd like to introduce my cohort.
And I am Gino Silverfox. And today, for our first episode, we have Coach Pow. I'm going to let him introduce his actual name. You'll know why in a bit. But let me give you a bit of a background on Coach. He's a former Canadian Olympian, 2008 Beijing. He was also part of the 2007 Pan American Games and a bronze medalist at the 2006 Commonwealth Games. He's also been featured with David Suzuki in the documentary Nature of Things, I believe. Am I correct?
Correct.
And currently you are training all sorts of athletes from varsity to hockey, basketball, and some connections with the Raptors, which we will not name on this episode. But I'll let Coach introduce himself. Born and raised in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah, definitely. So many of you know me by the name Emmanuel Joseph Paris. The abbreviation would be EJ. I also have an appellation name that some know. It's Otieno Chibel. Otieno means boy born in the evening to the Luo people of Kenya. So it was an appellation name that was rightfully chosen. So I guess you could say I'm a man of very many names. Sometimes it seems as if I'm in so many places at once because someone will say, I know EJ, or I know Emmanuel, or I know Otieno Chibel. So yeah, I guess you could say not a man of mystery, but definitely a man of one face and one job, and that's to serve.
So Love Anthropology is all about relationships, what makes them tick, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So we actually have something really exciting here, I guess, because Coach has had a big hurdle in his relationship, and he's been so generous to open up and talk to us about that. Can you give us a little bit of brief outline about what's been happening in your relationship, Coach?
Yes, indeed. I was in a relationship of 6 years, which just ended, I'd say over 72 hours ago, maybe more. So definitely in the hot seat right now. But I feel very grateful. I probably should have prefaced it that way. I feel very grateful for where I am in life right now, for the people who are around me, for the lessons I've learned. I've learned a lot from this 6-year relationship and more. And I believe that it's going to make me and my former partner even better. So as much as it may seem hard, I'm also looking towards the future with an even brighter smile. So I've loved, I will continue to love, and I still have love for my former partner. So altogether, I'm still happy. I wasn't in the relationship looking for happiness. I came into the relationship happy, and there's just some things that you just find it's like your direction sometimes isn't the same as the individual who's next to you. And I don't think that it shouldn't be a game of what is it called? Tug of war towards one person's, I'd say one person's morals. You shouldn't abandon your morals for someone else, especially if those morals that you've held on to work for you. So at the end of the day, if things aren't working out, then you sidestep and you keep moving.
Do you think the pandemic actually contributed a bit to the end of this relationship as well?
I'd like to say so. I think at times, and I'm not exempt from this, so I hope none of you here think that I'm blaming my partner for this, saying I'm not exempt from the mindset of scarcity. I think that's what COVID kind of did. It exposed those who believe that that something's missing. I think there was a lot there. There's an opportunity for people to actually spend more time with one another because there are a lot of people who weren't going to work. I think that's an opportune time to actually rekindle that flame, really spend more time with your loved ones. So there was a great opportunity. Unfortunately, what we heard of and what we've been seeing is a lot of people who don't know who they're with, and there's a big part in knowing the individual you love. You will get to know them when you put them in a situation that is hard. That's what COVID has done.
So,
Placed a lot of people in a situation that is hard. And that's where you really get to know, you get to see the character
to learn
individual.
from
Yeah,
those mistakes, the emptiness that you feel in different areas, right?
Yes. So I looked at COVID as an opportunity. Like, I was grateful as much as there's an unfortunate loss of lives. There's peril all around. But you have to look within and find the balance. I think the paradox can be reconciled when yes, in the face of chaos, you can still find the beauty.
You're kind of peeling back the layers anyway and getting down to the nuts and bolts of your whole relationship.
Yeah. So
it's almost like COVID has accelerated what will come. We've just accelerated into a short period of time.
Yeah. Certain events can be that blessing in disguise that expedites the inevitable.
Yeah.
Because I found that, speaking on other matters, that there are times where I got very complacent in the relationship. And I think my partner, former partner, could share the same sentiments. We've actually discussed this many times, that we were both very complacent. And there was almost this junk food effect where it tastes sweet, but it's not good for you. So you just hang out and you just continue to do the same thing. We're creatures of habit, but we tend to be creatures who look more towards pleasing the palate than pleasing the profound nature of our gut. So you stop listening to your gut instinct because it tastes sweet up here.
Yeah.
So
would you say, in other words, there's no hiding place anymore? Because before, where there were distractions, you can go to work or you can get away or go to do an activity. During COVID, we didn't have that. We were sort of stuck with each other at home most of the time. So you didn't even have an escape to sort of say, okay, well, deal with this situation later.
Yeah.
And now the situation has presented itself. It's in your face and you have to deal with it.
I agree with that. And I think it's also more than that, because death was knocking on a lot of people's doors.
Right. Yeah.
Let's say, how about this? Just based on statistics, the statistics that were being shared with us, there was a lot of people dying. Mm-hmm. That brings about fear, because most often, what are we doing? Where most of what our day is usually set off by us looking to preserve ourselves and our community. We get up, we go to work. Mm-hmm. We have our particular routines to sustain life. So when something's knocking and going, hey, I'm taking lives, you have people who just start to panic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was so much of like being stuck indoors. I know I was going outside for walks by myself or sometimes with my partner, but a lot of them were by myself. I'd go for walks. I didn't feel like I was stuck at home. Mm-hmm. But I think I know that I was scared at some point. Like,
right.
So when you become an athlete, you obviously have to really get into your mindset, your spirituality, and everything to manifest what you want to do to win, right? It's
Indeed.
huge.
Big time.
So did you find that actually worked into your relationship and transcended?
Yes. I'll tell you this, in the relationship, I was that individual who would lay down on the floor and make weird sounds or get up and do my own rendition of the haka. And, I was trying every and anything, and it was very fun. My partner wasn't really about that stuff. So yeah, I'd freak her out sometimes or whatever. She'd laugh at me and rightfully so, because some of the stuff I was doing is pretty silly, but I'm a huge fan of imagery, like a big fan of imagery, a big fan of breathing. If you look at the word spirit, the etymology or the origins of the term spirit is air. So if you want to say spiritual, you're breathing. And I know that my relationship with breathing and breathing led me to manifestation, or being more powerful when it comes to manifesting. So yeah, spirituality.
Thoughts become things, right?
Most definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
So hopefully I answered that question. I don't know if I...
Yeah. Speaking of that, you said you did breathing and then your version of haka and visualization. So it sounds like your partner had different interests.
Yeah.
So do you think it's more important to have a partner that has similar interests or similar values? Which would you say is more important? Because
how do you divide the two?
Well, because say, for me, in my marriage with my wife, I have similar values, but we don't have the similar interests. Right. I play sports. She doesn't play sports. She'd rather listen to jazz. I'd rather go dancing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where tick that box where you go, yeah, we both don't smoke, but that's different than values.
Right.
When you say like, so do you think it's still
I feel like
workable?
your values can guide your interests, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, I'll go with values.
Okay.
I'll go with values.
Okay. Just
That's my final
And
answer.
when you feel that a relationship is breaking down in that, do you feel compromised in your values? So you're putting a line in the sand you can't step over?
Circumstantial. Depends on the circumstance. There's certain times where I'm more than willing to make that compromise. But yeah, there's obviously certain values that I'm a big fan. How about this? I may answer another question further down the road with this,
Yeah.
but I believe all relationships, it's my take on it, are largely sexual, sensual. Definitely there needs to be spiritual, like there needs to be a strong spiritual context, intellectual as well. If those things are missing, then there's no deal. There's no deal. So if I have to, or if I feel like any one of those are being abrogated, or neglected, like I don't want to have any kind of spiritual connection with you or intellectual connection, but I just want sexual, then that sounds like a friends with benefit kind of situation.
Yeah.
And in that case, then I'll be your object of desire and not your subject, and vice versa.
Right.
So, in that area, I won't give up any of those standards or requirements, that I see are vital to a relationship with me. But if it's something in terms of like, I want to spend more time with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I don't like the fact that you're hanging out with your friends or going over here, I'm down to do that. I could be a softie. I've been called nice quite a bit by like girlfriends and even friends. So I'm not ashamed to say that I'll, do what I can within reason
To make the relationship
to make the
work.
relationship work. I actually feel like I did that the last 3 years. My ex and we talked about it. I said, I told her how I felt. I felt like the last 3 years, I kind of broke down because I gave up certain things. But I tried, I gave up certain things that I felt were responsible for me being successful, and I started to crack, like the shell started to crack. And it was like, I'm not really enjoying this much, but I really care about this woman. And there's a certain level of comfort that I don't think I can have with someone else, that I have with her. But I don't think that was healthy.
No, but
so-
your values are your inside values.
Yeah.
And you need them to be your most important part of
Most
you.
definitely. My mother used to say this to me, like you wake up to your own heartbeat. Doesn't mean that you're going to be selfish. You still be selfless, but you wake up to your own heartbeat. So if you wake up and your heart's racing because you're stressed and you don't like the situation you're in, you better make those changes because you're no good to anybody else. If you can't control what's going on here,
That's
or at
so
least
true.
pay attention to it. So
How long do you think is too long in when it comes to compromise? How long did
48 hours.
40. How long do you think you said almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So some people get stuck in that abusive cycle. It almost becomes abusive where there's a fear of being left on feeling unworthy.
Yeah.
And so, they keep staying around. So how when I'm not saying your partner was, or you, or vice versa, it was an abusive thing, but I'm just saying, how long was it before you said, okay, I've compromised enough. This is pretty much time to move on. 3 years.
It was a 6-year relationship.
Okay.
So I noticed at year 3, we had conversations. We had a number of conversations and some that unfortunately were arguments. And, but it was interesting because we argued about it, but we didn't walk away from one another.
Yeah.
Because we were both like, we'd argue and then it was like, you know what though? I love you so much.
But,
But-
okay, what kept you there? What kept you staying? That's what most of us would want to
I'll
know.
be very transparent and I'll say it was a very interesting mixture of, you see, like you look in the back of like a box, whatever, like some food, and it's got like the nutritional values. It's got all the different, ingredients, 15% iron and all that. I'd say it's like it was a combination of fear, no lie, combination of fear. Just, I had shared so much with this individual, all prior relationships, 2 of them, I was with my partner for 2 years. So I had 2 other relationships that lasted 2 years each. So this was a 6-year relationship. This was big for me. Like, I'm thinking like she's the one. I've shared so much with her, and she's shared so much with me. And I was like, I think this is it. I believe this. I believe I'm here for good. So I was afraid, thinking that I was gonna. It's tough to say. This is very tough to say, but it's like, you don't know what's gonna come next. Like, I believe she's not my possession or anything. It was never a possession, but I believe I found the woman who I want to spend the rest of my life with. And maybe this is just an event that is testing the relationship. Let me give it a try. Let me work on myself, because maybe this is exposing me.
Yeah, marriage is so important in society today, and yet, a lot of us are in just simply relationships. Do you think that affected your relationship? With women, a lot of times they want to see the marriage, the proposal, everything like that.
In the earliest, we both discussed it, and neither of us were interested in getting married or having kids. Okay. She wanted everything else, like I don't want to say cake and eat it too, because that gives the wrong impression, but it was everything but those things. It was the relationship that she wanted and that I wanted. And I think that was, another reason why we got along so well. So I never felt the pressure. Like, she's like, yeah, put the ring on my finger and let's do this or that. However, she did want to live together. And that's actually what really caused a lot of trauma. Because one of my things is I love being by myself at home. I'm busy. Like, if you're over at my house, you may have to ask me to put the books down or shut the computer off, because I will read until my eyes burn. I love continued education, be it reading the Kabbalion, to reading Pat Davidson's Rethinking the Big Patterns, to reading, just anything and everything. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to go through it. And at times that could be hard to do when somebody else is around, when you feel like they're very somatic, or they're the way they need love is through touch.
I think I'm also getting a thing that you feel like the passion and the energy translates into other things you do.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, you can't take that with you into the other things that you do that are so important in your life.
Oh, most definitely. So I like to live by myself. And I know that's hard for a lot of women, and maybe even men, like in the event where the woman decides, or even in another man and a man, or woman and woman decide that one of the partners does not want to live with the other. They take it like it's rejection. It's like, no, I just like my space. Interesting part is now she realizes it. So I'm happy that I was able to show that to her. Maybe I'll burn that question for now. That was good.
So what's your thoughts on marriage?
Well, you can already guess. I mean,
is that the only form of the ultimate sort of tying everything together,
no.
Or is there? What's your thoughts on it?
There, no need for a license. No need to visit someone who has power vested in them to say that you're married. You do that on your own with your commitment, your love, your energy.
And what would you say if the other person in the relationship says, but I need this? Is that something that is a deal breaker? Are you open to doing it because it satisfies the other person?
Great question. Yeah, because I don't see myself in that position or having to answer that question, because I'm not going to put myself in that position. However, in this case where we're connecting and you're asking my opinion here for this podcast, hypothetically speaking, and say I was in that position, I would ask why, because I can always be persuaded. Like, if you present a really good case, I'm always open to listen.
Right.
Not like I'm not that stubborn. I'm sure I'm probably stubborn to someone, because the term's fairly relative. I'd be open. I'd ask, like, what is your sound rationale? Like, if you want to get married because Disney has shared that idea with you over and over again in every movie, then maybe we have a problem. But if you lay down some really you lay down some really good facts, I mean, I could be persuaded. I could potentially change my mind.
So do you find when you really have an amazing relationship, there's an energy to that relationship? And how do you feel in turn that affects your humanity?
It opens you up. It opens you up in a good way. Because I mean, I think about like in family relationships, like platonic relationships with, I don't know if that'd be the right term, but like with mom, sister, brother. By the way, I just met my younger brother for the first time like last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's 26 years old. And yeah, it's my dad's son outside of being with my mother. I have an older sister and a younger sister and a younger brother. So I met my younger brother the other day, and it was like this, I love my younger brother. I just met him.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there was something there. And like, I'm thinking about your question.
It's an energy. It's
yeah, and it added to
energy.
me. I was just like, oh my gosh. And there was just this spark. And I feel it's the same way, like when you find love or you create love, however you look at it, that it's this spark that adds to your vitality meter, if you want to call it that.
It transcends everything you do in life.
Yeah.
Your job, your physical health, just everything,
Indeed.
all the components.
That's there are two things I used to say one thing, but now Gay and Gina, you've just helped me find the second thing to add to this list. I would say confidence has the highest level of transference, because in the world of strength training, coaches, at least in athletic training, coaches are always looking for the exercise, the best exercise that translates, that can take someone's strength accrued in the weight room and bring it onto the field. It doesn't really exist, or at least I haven't found that. But the one thing that I can tell you transfers 100% is confidence. And now the new one I'm adding to that list is love. You increase confidence on, like, for example, I increased my confidence on the track, and I just learned to apply that everywhere else, business and interpersonal skills, things like that. Same thing with love. You increase love, and all of a sudden you start to function very differently.
And it literally manifests itself. It is an energy that grows and becomes a big sphere around you.
Oh, most definitely. It's like, what would you kind of compare that to? Like
electrons of positivity.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And it's and it wants to survive, and it wants to grow. Just the same on the duality. Let's say love then hate. It's like hate tends to do the same thing. However, it's more like the weeds that you don't even water. They're just growing. But love is like something that you got to go and water. And the
more you send it out, the more it comes back to you, and the better you are.
Exactly. So the ROI is so much better in love than hate.
And one of the things I really want to talk about is, the relationships have become so stressful, and a lot of us have taken to walking, working out, different things like that. And definitely I would like a little bit of a rundown from Coach about what he would recommend and what he's been doing.
All right, what I would recommend. Firstly, we have to consider what we've been doing, what we've already been doing, because what I've seen over COVID, there have been a lot of injuries. I shouldn't just say a lot of injuries. I will say there have been some injuries that have come from what I'm about to share with you. People who have gone from having acute levels of training stress to very high, aka chronic levels of training stress.
Or in my case, cooking.
Cooking stress. So what I mean by that is, now I have a lot of time on my hands, and hey, the weather is so much more favorable. I haven't jogged or ran in 2 seasons. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do a 5K. And all of a sudden the ankles hurt, the knees hurt, the lower back hurts, and now they're on the shelf. So that's why I wanted to preface with that, because we have to consider what have we been doing, and do we have the prerequisites to participate in whatever activity we're about to take on. Walking, definitely one of the simplest ways to kind of diagnose your fitness levels. So you're like, hey, it's COVID, I'm not at work, I want to increase my level of activity, improve my aerobic profile. So I'm going to go for a a walk. I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk, which is nice and easy. Then I'll progress to a 25-minute walk, then maybe a 35-minute walk, and then just progressively increase the walks, be it day by day or week by week. And then eventually when you feel like the walks aren't doing it for you, then slowly move it into a jog, and do the same thing. Start off by jogging, let's say, even if it's just a few, let's say if it's a 5 to 10 minute jog at a low to moderate steady state pace, and then even start to build the jog up to running a little bit faster, and then eventually going to a park, a nearby park, and maybe even doing some easy, what I like to call wind sprints, and that would be for that individual is looking to take their fitness levels to new heights, improve all 3 energy systems. So from aerobic all the way to kind of that higher intensity activity without actually having to step foot within a gym, which most gyms are closed because of COVID. So that would be a recommendation for someone who wants to go from low level to high level. For someone who is okay with kind of hanging around the low to moderate level, which is, I find very, I say safe, and yet you can be very effective, or at least get really good ROI. That would be you adhering to getting out there and going for those walks. Take the dog for a walk, go walk with the kids, or even walk by yourself. Try and get into your own headspace. And no, that's not a plug for the app Headspace, but getting out there and focusing on self, focusing on breathing, focusing on just moving the body, and then progressing that into, you don't even have to go into the jogs, but just increasing the walk time.
Some great information. How could people contact you, Coach?
So I am easy to get a hold of on Instagram. That seems to be the very popular platform right now. Yeah. So on IG, my handle is at Coach Pow _. So that's at COACHPOW _. I answer every message that comes my way. I'm not one of those, I guess you say Instagram, not an Instagram coach, but one of those coaches who does not respond to messages. Someone messages me, whether it be on my wall or my DM, I'm going to give you my attention, and I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability. I'm soon to be offering more services, consultation. So, I'll have a pay now button, or a book button on my website. Website is actually www.coachpow.com. There's going to be some big changes on the website. There's going to be some really cool things like semi-customized programs. I'm also working on a coaching tool right now for personal trainers, because I want to give back to that community, because I'm very confident in what I do, and I believe that I do it well because I'm very result orientated. And I feel like I found something special that it can prove very useful for trainers, because I was once that young trainer who, though I studied the textbooks, I still felt very unfamiliar when it came to having to design a training program for a specific individual. So I've really gone through a unique method to take what you gather from an assessment and then build a training program. Not a training program to impress your clients, but a training program that is geared towards their intentions and combined with your intentions.
That sounds amazing.
It's a training program. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I was just going to say we're going to have all that information on our website as well, where people can reach you. Yeah. Because I know, as Coach speaks, he's all about increments. So to go back to what he was saying, there's a lot of technical things in there as well, but the message is to do everything in increments, which also then decreases anxiety. Yeah. Because to go from sitting and then all of a sudden wanting to do that 5K like I did, it created a lot of anxiety and some discomfort. Yeah. But starting with the walk into a jog into running increments is always a good.
Most definitely. You can think of it like a story. Most stories have this build up and then bang, there's that climax. Yeah. Just like sex. It's kind of the same thing.
For some people.
Yeah, for some people. So you can almost look at it the same way. Yeah. That there's got to be that foreplay with exercise, especially if you're getting into it. So work your way up. And then, and then eventually take off.
Or as we in the dance world call it, floor play.
Oh, nice. I like
You're like,
that. Floor play. Nice. I like it. I like it.
That's-
I used to break dance.
oh,
Tried
cool.
to
Yeah.
at least. I was okay.
Yeah.
But there's something called the down rock. So it's like
Yeah.
you're moving around on the floor and then you do your up rock. So I like that because I
And-
can use floor play.
And this is something about Coach I admired why we became friends is on his Instagram. Unlike, by the way, for you guys that don't know, Coach is also a professional bodybuilder. He's won the IDFA, which is a drug-free federation for bodybuilding. So he is a massive guy taking a lot of space sitting next to us. But on his Instagram and website, you're not just going to find him doing squats and typical things that you would see big guys do, but he actually does dance moves for warm-ups, and that is something I admire,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
you won't catch a lot of bigger guys doing things like that.
Hey, you gotta.
Yeah.
I love dancing. I love. I'd always say like sprinting is the highest form of expression, but I got to stop saying that. There's so much more. The human anatomy can do so much, but it's being controlled by the mind for the most part. So I just let my mind go. It's just trying my best to surrender to new experiences. So I feel like when I'm dancing, I'm actually trying to find something awkward
Right.
and find something
Right.
new. Hence why I really like contemporary dance.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I know.
The world's your
Yeah,
oyster in
yeah.
contemporary. Anything goes.
Yeah, so I love watching it. And then I'm a huge fan of physical literacy, obviously. So reading and rewriting movement. So I'll watch contemporary dance events, and then I'm at home, like, I'll open my blinds, I'll close them, and then I'm doing something weird. I don't care who
Perfect.
sees. Yeah.
So we've asked you a lot about love, but we
Yeah.
want to, I'm sure the audience also wants to know about your experience. I know you participated, you're part of the Olympic team, you've done very high level competitions.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into it or your first experience? You have some interesting stories.
Yeah. How interesting is my story about getting involved in track and field? I can make it interesting, like just if I really pause for a moment and think about why or what was going on in my life at the time. But mother, single parent, 2 kids. You know, my older sister, Cam, she was amazing at track and field, like amazing, and did not even train. She just wanted to work and wanted to make money. And I was the younger brother who was following her around everywhere, you know, because my mom was very busy, but she trusted my sister. She had really put a lot into her when it came to discipline. So my sister really watched over me, and I idolized my sister. So watching her compete in track and field was just such an inspiration. So track and field became my love when my sister just totally destroyed me in a race. I was so, and I was very competitive at the time and still am. But I remember we used to race to the garbage can. It was outside. So my mother would, you know, she'd hand us the garbage, we'd go for the run. And my sister just beat me so bad anyways. I'm like, I can't have this. One day I was like, this can't happen again. So I would go to my sister's track and field practice. And obviously I'd wait for her because my mom was like, you go home with your sister. I wasn't participating in track at the time, but I would watch. And in my head, I was just kind of going through the drills. And like I said, I'm a big fan of imagery. So I would sit there and just envision myself doing the drills. And when it was my time to do those drills, I believe I did them flawlessly because I wasn't visualizing. I was seeing myself do them. And track and field was just one of those things in Toronto in high school where it was such a marquee sport to be a part of. And I was that 4'5" skinny kid that, you know, you'd walk. I felt like people saw me and they would acknowledge me, but I could also be invisible because of how small I was. And there was a part of me that wanted to be visible. And track and field, like with my competitive nature and, you know, knowing that I was cut from the same cloth as my sister, and she was like my biggest, you know, I'd say rival in a good way. I was always very competitive with her, but then there was also this, hey, I feel like this is a platform for me to kind of get up there and you know, make friends or, you know, connect with a different community and be a part of an exclusive world. And that's what kind of got me into track and field, to be honest. My first race, I think I came last. And that was another part because the best thing is I continued. You know, I came last or second last in the race. I know in the rankings, I was very close to the bottom. And as much as it felt bad, there was something else inside that was like, keep going. And I kept going. I had some good races. I had some bad races. And eventually it turned into me being at the Olympics. A part of that story in college, I got a full scholarship to a school in Illinois. I remember racing at the Jesse Owens Track Classic in Ohio. I ran one of the slowest times in my life at this college meet. Jesse Owens Track Classic, like, you can't do that there. And at the same time, there was a young lady from LSU named Muna Lee, and she ran the second fastest time in the world in the 100 meters for women. She ran faster than me. And I was a full scholarship athlete, so I got made fun of by all my teammates. Like, man, you're wasting our money. You know, you're an international student. It costs like 15 grand for you to be here a semester, but 2,000 for like an in-state athlete. So we could have had more athletes, you know, instead of you. And felt bad, but I stuck with track and field. And fast forward to 5 years later, I'm sitting in the cafeteria at the Olympics, and I run into Muna Lee, and she basically told her the story. She's like, well, how are you even here? I'm like, I just ran faster. It's like, you did not give up. No, I didn't.
So listening to you, I can see you've had a lot of a strong mom, a strong sister. So
Yes.
how have women affected your whole life that way?
Oh yeah, sometimes I have some friends who could tell that I wasn't raised by a male figure. Like I have some, I guess you could say, some people say feminine tendencies. I wouldn't really call it that. I just say like I'm very
You're more in touch with life.
Yeah, sure.
Softer tendencies.
Softer, yeah. So softer tendencies. They've been a big part of my life. My sister more than my mom. You know, my mom she was home, but not home as much.
She had to work.
Yeah, she had to work. My sister is, if I keep talking about her, I'm going to cry. For real. But my sister is probably like my best friend, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am crying.
That is something special to have. It is, you know? It's probably one of the best relationships you ever have
Most
in your
definitely.
life.
Yeah.
And it's there forever, and that love it's always there.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. My sister and I, we used to talk like every day, twice a day, you know. Lately, not as much, but the love is still there. Like she's done so much for me. She's listening to this. I believe she already knows. You know, there's rarely you meet people like her. So I'm definitely like so grateful that she's my sister. You know?
So those are probably some of the things you're looking for in a partner too.
Yeah.
Some of the values and principles that you saw that your sister had.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of nurturing there.
Yeah.
And love.
Yeah. So yeah. Anything for my sister.
He is
Anything
not
for my
crying
sister.
right now. He's absolutely
It's just
not.
a salty
Yes,
discharge coming out of my eyeballs.
So Coach Gino and I would really like to thank you for coming here. Thank you for opening up, especially when we know that you've just gone through a real rough breakup the last 72 hours.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for being our first guest.
No worries.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
Inspired by strong women, built by self-belief.
Yeah, I love that. Can you write that down?
I can't. We've got to record it.
Yeah.
Coach, I got some questions for you.
Oh.
We'll do like 10 minutes. 1 minute, and then you just fire off one word that pops
is like
up.
the end of Family Feud.
Yeah, Family Feud. Putting you under pressure. Are you ready?
Should I close my eyes?
Yeah, close your eyes. Close your eyes. So, with your partner, would you rather text or talk?
Talk.
If you had a choice, would you rather kiss or hug?
Kiss.
If you had 1 day left to live, who would you spend it with?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
You can say pass.
Pass. Yeah.
Assuming you're single, casual sex, good or bad?
Casual sex, good.
Can a
With the right person.
Can a couple truly be in a long-term relationship without being married?
Yes.
One word to describe your ideal relationship.
Organic.
What's more important to you, that your partner has similar values or interests?
Values.
Would you rather be unable to lie or unable to speak?
But I'd rather be unable to lie.
Okay. One word to describe your ideal partner.
Confident.
One word to describe your best self in a relationship.
Free.
Would you rather propose or have your partner propose to you?
I'd rather propose.
Thank you for joining us
Thank you.
and being part of the episode 1 of Love
I love it.
Anthropology.
I love this.
And we'll say goodbye. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Any word of advice when it comes to relationships or anything in life?
Yes. Whatever your current beliefs are, challenge them. Not with a glass of tequila or some Crown Royal or anything, but challenge them through, various educational pathways and connect not just with like-minded individuals, but individuals who are, let's say, outside of your box. Because I think that's a great way to gain perspective. So yeah, open mind. No crowbar heads. No heads that need to be opened up with a crowbar. Open mind's a great way to go into all situations.
Perfect. So for details on Coach Pow, we'll have everything posted on the website. And for this episode, I'm Gino Silverfox and
Gay Dirk.
And Coach Pow, a.k.a. Emmanuel Paris, a.k.a. Otieno.
Love is love. Enjoy and goodbye.